All right. Hello, hello, hello. This is a release team meeting for the 119 Kubernetes release. I'm Taylor Dolezal, your host and release lead for this cycle. Want to wish you all a fantastic Monday, no matter where you're at in your day. This is a Kubernetes community meeting, so please abide by the Kubernetes Code of Conduct, which is be excellent to one another. Today we are going to really just go through, see what's going on with everyone. I know last week was intense, to say the very least. Lots going on, lots of good discussion, reflection, and we're kind of picking it up again this week. I do have an announcement on just calendar and what we can expect. We're going to shift that forward as is basically the TLDR on that front, but I'll cover that here at the end. So if things are taking a little bit longer to get done, don't worry about it. We're going to revisit that a little bit later today and then have news to you.
Should we maybe do that first and help it inform the
Absolutely.
rest of, yeah. So I'll let you go first, Taylor.
So the thought on that front was really to push everything out 2 weeks. So today we had code freeze scheduled. We are thinking of pushing that out by 2 weeks, looking at all of the milestones and then moving that forward by 2 weeks. I think the only thing I can think of that might be potential impact is KubeCon. So that's really where I'd have my eyes on. I definitely want to noodle on that and look through how that schedule falls, kind of like where we can move things such that it won't be such a, people won't be rushing before or after KubeCon to knock things out. But I think that's my only concern. Not sure how everyone else feels, but would love to open that up to the floor.
Yeah, so that's also my biggest concern. When we initially did the updates to the schedule, the first one that I proposed was included a 2-week blackout period for KubeCon, and we actually ended up nixing that one because it looked like it seemed better to close the release cycle ahead of KubeCon. So I think the current cycle gives us a buffer of a week and change before KubeCon, something like that. I think maybe before the new KubeCon dates were published. Um, so I think, yeah, I think the problem would be dancing around KubeCon. We can push. So again, from what Taylor said, the idea would be to target code freeze 2 weeks later than it's currently targeted, and then move all of the milestones that are behind that forward 2 weeks as well. That would leave us. I think that leaves us in KubeCon territory, if I'm right. Um, so yeah, I don't. It seems like we're going back to the initial iteration of the schedule. So I think we would have to be okay with a blackout of sorts again, right up to our, if we're looking at it essentially blacking out the branch until KubeCon is over, picking it up a few days later, and then closing the cycle. It feels a little disconnected. Hey, Kat, what's up? It feels a little disconnected, but I think we can do it. So
Plus one. Yeah, it's if anyone is looking for a meteorologist, I would recommend Stephen as well, because way back when we were starting to think on the schedule, I think that the proposal that he had initially put was pretty much what we're seeing right now. So another plus one in that direction. Any thoughts or cases against, any concerns on that front? Otherwise, we can pick that up in a PR.
I just have one quick question. So thank you folks for being empathetic and understanding during these times. It's nice to be a part of this community in this release team. So moving code freeze, does that mean that we can move our docs deadline also? I know the code freeze on June 25th and the docs the first deadline is on 12th of June. So um, I just want to bring that up too. So
yeah, I would say we want to minimally shift the deadlines that exist today that are ahead of code freeze. So maybe a week of,
okay.
maybe a week extension, but we don't want to shift too much in front of code freeze. Yeah, words.
A week is great. Thank you. We have been trying to be more uh, empathetic and like we don't want to be aggressive when we reach out to the enhancement owners, and it's kind of difficult that I'm not able to ask my team to be more aggressive. So thank you. 1 week time is good.
Fantastic. And I'm sure that we'll hit other, hoping we don't, but I'm sure, as life goes, we'll hit a couple snags with where we go to target things, but we'll get that worked out. No worries on that front.
So I think that, I'm going to start working on the updates probably tonight later in the day and sync up with Taylor and Jeremy and Tim and Bob. Bob is here. Everyone's here, yay! And talk a little bit about that stuff. If you have dates that are coming up or that are close to code freeze as well that you want to consider moving, try to bring them up in your section or let us know on the PR as well when that pops up. Just so we have, it's going to be a delicate dance, honestly, because we've already communicated that we were pushing. So just be sure to let us know so that we can try to accommodate your section too.
Fantastic. Any more thoughts? Comments, concerns? Awesome. Thank you very much, everyone. Cool. Let's kick it off with enhancements. Navarun.
Hi, everyone. I hope you all are doing well with what is going on around us. And yeah, so as for the enhancements update, we are green. We are currently going a bit slow on pinging. We practically did not ping anyone in the last week, considering all the circumstances. And since this is a tough time for everyone, we thought it's better to give everyone their own time in going through the work and setting their own pace. We have had one exception request last week, which we are discussing with the SIG right now, whether to accept it or not. And other than that, we are tracking 44 enhancements, 14 are in alpha, 17 in beta, and 13 in stable. Apart from that, we don't have any other updates. So any questions or comments?
Wonderful. Thank you, Navarun.
Thanks, everyone.
CI Signal with Dan.
Hey folks, we are red today mostly just because there was a PR merged that turned a test red on master blocking, so we are by definition red. But it shouldn't be too big of a deal, and we've already pinged the person who opened that PR. I'm not exactly sure that is the root cause, but it looks like it could definitely be related. So we'll be continuing to monitor that. The other flaky tests on master blocking are still related to the kind test timeouts. So we're just seeing some very variable performance on those. So those are continuing to be investigated. On master informing, the only tests that are failing are the Windows tests per usual, which we actually made some progress with an issue that was raised there, but now it's back to its regular level of failure. I pinged SIG Windows a couple times over the last week and trying to get an answer if they are getting any value from this, and if not, if they need to be on the informing dashboards because they have been failing for months. And so we'll continue to monitor that, of course. And then a new test on the OpenStack conformance job was introduced, and it has not passed since being introduced. So I've pinged the testing folks to take a look at that and see if we need to do a revert there or see what's going on. Outside of that, the other flaky tests on informing are kind of the same ones we've seen. Kubeadmin tests still having some timeouts. And then there is a SIG network test on the GC master scale correctness that's also showing on a few other jobs that appears to be flaking. So we'll monitor that as well. So boards don't look great today, but we should be able to get them looking better pretty fast this week.
Thank you, Dan. Any questions? Good news for all of you who like chess grid red is your favorite color. You'll see a lot of it today. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Bug triage with Karen.
Hey, so our numbers are pretty stable. I think we'd all pinged our open bug issues and PRs last week ahead of the expected blackout date. So I don't know how much, there's a little activity. You can see some of the open issues are down, but otherwise most of the numbers are stable. So I think we're green, especially if we're going to add 2 weeks. It's yeah, the last week I think was definitely a wash for a lot of people. So.
Gotcha. Any questions for Karen or bug triage? Move along to docs with Savitha.
Hi, hope everyone's doing good. So I was gonna originally go over the status red, but then now that we have a week's additional time, so I'm in between yellow and red right now. So we haven't heard back from 15 PR enhancement owners on the status of the docs, if they need one or not. And we are also looking for 11 draft PRs. And some of them are in a state that if their PR gets, if their enhancement gets through code freeze, or if it gets to a stage where it's not going to be dropped, and then they are willing to raise a draft PR. I would like your opinion on that, if I should ask them to create a draft PR, because it's not going to do any harm. It's just for tracking purposes, but I would appreciate any help on how to approach that. And other than that, we have like 12 PRs in place, and 7 enhancements doesn't require any docs changes. Any questions?
So I would say the draft PRs make your life easy ultimately. So if you can get them in place, it's better to have them and not need them than need them and not have them. So
I agree. I had a similar thought, but I just want to bring it up because this is the first time that I'm in this situation.
Yeah.
This is my second release cycle. So the first one I was a shadow, and this time I'm a lead. So I just want to bring it up for more, hear from more experienced folks and advices. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, never a bad place to ask questions. I love everybody here. Any questions for docs? Fantastic. Release notes with Ray.
Hello. So release notes is green. The V119 beta 1 draft release notes and patch release notes have merged, and I put the links up on the agenda.
Awesome. Any questions for release notes or Ray?
So how are the new additions to the flow going? I saw some PRs merge recently for like automatic PR creation stuff.
Have to refer to Adolfo, who's on the call, if he could reply to that.
Yeah, so currently the complete flow of release notes automation is complete. And I've been working since last week on refactoring the code, and I'll be submitting a cleanup PR to finalize that. According to what I talked to Sasha, we're focusing the release notes generation in Krell to only do updates to the draft PR and to the website, and leaving all the functionality to the old release notes tool to be a more general tool. And but it's almost ready now.
Awesome work,
all
man.
the technologies, all the functionality is already written, all the GitHub and PR stuff, everything.
We have the technology.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Comms with Max.
Comms is so far green. We reached out for the feature blocks. We have 3 feature blocks at the moment confirmed, waiting for some couple of more responses. but it looks good. Potentially we get even more than the normal 5, which we expect. Maybe we're landing at around 7 or so, which is quite nice. The release block is also opened, at least the draft, and communicated also with the CNCF PR team, with which we are also in contact for aligning on the dates. So I'm really interested to see how the new release timeline will looks like, because then we need to go back to the to our colleagues in the CNCF and take a look how we need to adjust the timeline for the planned webinars and meetings.
Awesome, sounds good to me. I know that I have a work has begun on the theme for 119, and so I'll have an update on that as we get closer to release date. It'll be fun to share. Any questions for comms? Great. Release branch management. I didn't see Carlos in the call, but not sure if anybody else wanted to, if they had a release branch management update. And again, I know I saw 033 got released over the weekend. Exciting stuff. What?
Just a note on 033. So essentially what was done there was so we have 2 branches that we maintain for K release. One is master branch and the other one is the build admins branch. So the build admins branch is used by the build admins, which are Googlers who have the power to cut the debs and RPMs for patch releases. So the build admins branch is essentially an older version of master that has patches on top of it. So 033 is a forward port of the updates that we've made in the build admins branch into master to essentially get rid of the build admins branch. The idea is that we want to push the build admins towards, how many times have I said build admins now? Towards using master and updating their tools to use master as opposed to using an older version, because we can't depend on it's tricky to maintain, if there are basal changes, if there are test changes that have to happen in our images, we have to maintain those in 2 branches. So I'd much prefer that we just do that on master. So I'm going to be sending an email out to them later today to talk a little bit about that. But yeah, that one includes the big fix for that branch, for that release, is that it includes a mitigation an update to our specs, update to our package, our dev and RPM specs, to mitigate the CNI man-in-the-middle attack that was announced on June 1st. So.
Thank you. Any more questions for release branch management? Great. Moving over to Emeritus Advisor Tim. Got anything for us?
So last week we had been going to have some meetings for the shadows to get together and talk, and we obviously canceled those. I'll try and get those on the calendar again for next week so we can be moving forward, but I guess along with everything else that's kind of slipped a couple weeks, we'll do the same for that. And then also just want to really encourage folks, if you have questions as a shadow, reach out to your leads, reach out to me, reach out to Taylor, any of the other folks here who have some experience in the past. Just start a simple question, start some dialogue. If you're not sure about that, feel free to ping me, feel free to use the Shadows mailing list as well. I want to make sure that people feel comfortable asking questions. This is the place to do it, and that's what the shadow process is about.
Absolutely agree. Thank you, Tim. And yeah, it's again, this is the best place to ask questions. We're all here to help and want to see everyone be successful, because if we're not, we can't be successful as a team collectively. So huge +1 on that front. This week, biggest update I have for you is what we had already talked about, is the fact that we'll be pushing out some deadlines by about 2 weeks. Others 1 week. We'll get that PR here up a little bit later today, and we can kind of start dialogue around that. But please, again, let me know if or your leads know if there's anything that you think needs to be addressed or might be a special situation leading up to KubeCon or anything on the schedule that looks like that. Other than that, I don't have anything and would like to open it up to the floor if anybody has anything else. I think we had one thing in our notes from the previous session is one thing I saw, but I know Lori Apple, again, she presented last week and has been, or last meeting, and she's been really helpful in kind of fixing, looking at fixing a lot of the process around the release cycle, kind of getting rid of some of the cruft and things that we either have to do and no one else will pick up. So there are meetings working through that. I think that she's posted a couple links in the SIG release Slack channel, so be sure to check that out. I believe there's another session happening on Wednesday, 9 to 10 Pacific, and we're just talking through a couple things there. Going to try to get that recorded and available for anyone that wants to watch it and is not able to attend. Well, if that is it, I'd love to hand you back the minutes in your hour. See, Steve, you unmuted.
So to add on to the Lori stuff, Lori is doing a phenomenal job in wrangling a lot of this stuff. This is years of I think it's indicative of years of technical debt within the project that's kind of just ballooned after some time and led to kind of a less than optimal processes in certain places. What you can do as a release team member is one, attend those meetings, give honest feedback. This goes for the veterans on the team as well as the shadows. I think that one of the most important things to have on this team, one of the things that we really benefit from is the the idea of like beginner's eyes, right? So a lot of us have been doing this for a while and are kind of we're not necessarily set in our ways, but we know that a thing works to a certain level of efficiency, and it works well enough for the time being, right? If you have things that you see that can be fixed, so like really interesting to see stuff like the release notes changes take off, and to see an enhancement issue open for applying machine learning on top of release notes, right? Like stuff like that. If you have ideas and as far out as you may think they are, please let us know, right? The second thing you can be doing is it's really your voice, right? The first thing is like use your voice. Don't feel that you don't have one on this team. This is a team that is as large as it is for a reason. The second one is help us. There are I think the next item is talking about adding items to the retro doc, right? And that retro doc is super important, right? That is and we're trying to make it something that is more actionable as we go across cycles, right? So a lot of what would happen prior is that we would have a retro, we'd write pages and pages of wonderful feedback for the cycle, and then we would kind of review it close to the next retro, right? And that's not really useful, right? So turning the retro items into really actionable feedback, and then once we turn it into actionable items, whether it be in an issue or becomes a calendar event, becomes some process change, we have to then do that work, right? So if there is work that is assigned to you right now, please work on it. If there is work that is assigned to your previous lead, someone who's previously on the release team, and you see that work is slowing down, offer to pick it up, see where they're at. I think that one of the things that we lose in time is the fact that there's a lack of continuity, or a bit of a lack of continuity between the the leads or the team from the old cycle and the team from the new. So take a little extra effort in kind of digging through what we have on our and everything that's on that backlog is kind of the stuff that Lori is asking you about right now, right? So take some time to dig into stuff that's previously assigned to old team members, and stuff that seems to be kind of stalling out, right? And I guess the third one is also take time for yourself, right? If we got a lot going on right now, and if you feel you need that time, tell someone, tell someone. I have not been, first and foremost, if you feel that you can, you have an honest dialogue with your role lead, do that. If you need that time, take that time, right? This is work that we do upstream, and it is free work that we do, right? So this is not your day-to-day job. If you need that time, this is not the most important thing right now, right? So so let someone know, and have the team help you and giving you the time that you need. And I guess I'm not always on these calls because Outlook. But so this call has fallen off my calendar. But I'm available if you need to chat. I'm usually offline on Kubernetes Slack, but that does not mean I am not lurking around. If you ever need to chat, feel free to reach out. Yeah.
Thank you, Stephen. And yeah, can confirm. It's I've said some things and gotten some responses from Stephen, even though he does appear to be offline. He's still sentient. Awesome. Any final comments, questions, concerns from anyone? Awesome. Go team. Have 32 minutes back in your hour. I wish you a fantastic day, and I will see y'all on Wednesday this week. Have a good one. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Later.